Welcome back to Nerds R Us, a show where we talk about anything and everything nerdy, and this is the place where anybody and everybody can be a kid. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr. Ike Siemens.
What up, guys?
And we're joined by a special guest and our brand new third co-host, Mr. T. Haas, Tyler Hosler, my man. Say what's up.
Sawdust?
He's going to be on every podcast from here on out, so ladies, you know where to hit him up. Today we're talking board games. We've all played them. We've played Monopoly. We've played Risk, we've played anything in between, and all the new games as well. Ike, what are some games that you grew up rocking with your fam bam?
I would say probably Monopoly, chess, simple stuff.
Simple stuff? Yeah, see, I grew up Monopoly, Life, and I loved hitting somebody with a draw 2 on some Uno, dude. And then you bring it around the table all the way to like a draw 10, and they're like, well, I got a draw 4, and you're like, oh, you don't even know what you're about to fucking bring yourself into right now, dude. Draw 72. Whole deck. Enjoy that shit. T-Haas, what about you? You grew up a little bit more for us.
Monopoly as well, but we did some Sorry, Aggravation, Uno is a good one, too. That was one we played a lot.
I love those classic games. Does anybody know how to actually win Monopoly, though? Because I've actually never won. We mostly just get to a point where, like, okay, it's midnight. Maybe we should call it. I don't understand the premise of how to win that game. I understand the premise of the game, but how do you win? Is it just that you own all the properties, or is it just that you eventually call it a day?
Over. Yeah.
Throwing the board. Throwing the board indicates
you can never lose if you throw the board.
Yeah.
Then you're always the winner.
Yeah.
It's the same situation as if you take your ball home. Everybody loses except for you because you still have the ball.
Exactly.
Snap. Alright, what are some new games that you've played recently, last like 2-3 years that you really enjoyed? I personally enjoyed, brought to you by my special, beautiful wife, Betrayal, which is one of the greatest role-playing games I've ever played in my life. You're stuck at it with a new scenario every single time you play. You got vampires, werewolves, you got snakes, you got mummies, you got ghost rides, you got guillotine necklaces. It's everything you could hope for in a horror RPG game. Ike, what about you?
What was that? What was the Pictionary type one that you guys showed us?
Telestrations.
Oh god,
the late night drinking game. For those who haven't played Telestrations, everybody gets a marker and like a whiteboard / pad, and it's basically phone but with dirty words like cocksucker and dick in a box and things like that. It's the best game to play drinking late at night with your buds, especially because it comes with its own coasters. So everybody should play that game. T.S., what about you? You got any games you want to recommend?
Dude, Avalon's a good one. I just love Morda.
Dude.
Shout out to Morda. Yeah, you got assassins, you got the guys on the good side, and you're just trying to figure out who's the assassin, and basically the assassins are trying to take over. And
so it's like Clue to like a whole new level, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a better version of Clue.
It's a better version of Clue. Oh, I don't know. Clue's pretty great. Yeah. Even though I've only ever played the Star Wars one.
No Mr. Plum for you?
No Mr. Plum for you. No Colonel Mustard. The only mustard I like is on my sandwich, so. Shoot. Yeah, I love games. Love board games. What's a situation or scenario that you were stuck in a board game, whether it's like Monopoly or Life or Betrayal or Avalon, where you just like eat a dick game?
Dude, Betrayal fucked me over. I was like third roll in, still discovering the base map of the house, because you have to roll, or not roll. You have a certain amount of speed that you have that allows you to move a certain amount of spaces to discover new places or whatever until you get hung up. Well, like third time through, I get caught up in this fucking spider web, and it traps me there the entire fucking game. I was literally useless the entire game because I could not roll out of it. It was bullshit. That was a board throwing worthiness game.
Tias, what about you? You ever been fucked over in a game?
Dude, Avalon again. I always get fucked. I always pretend I'm the assassin, but everybody calls me on my shit in their head, and then they know I'm not, and then I fucking end up losing on the good side.
Dude, it's because you're just too sweet of a guy to be an assassin.
I can't do it. I'm not even Morda.
Dude, you can't be more, dude. For those who don't know, you got Merlin and you got the bad guy, Mordude. I don't know what his real name is, just because I referred to him as Mordude. I think it's Mordred or something stupid like that. But he's Mordude because he's bringing more drama into the game.
You can say you didn't have any Mordred.
I don't know. I still enjoy the classic games though. Like I enjoy the Life because it's got like real life consequences where you get to like be a doctor, and then your best friend is a janitor, and you're like, yeah, this seems about right. This is how I predicted our future turning out.
Yeah, but then you have 2 kids out of nowhere, and you're like, fuck, what do I do?
There goes all your money, just like also in real life, which is why I don't have a kid.
Gang, gang.
Diaz can't say that, though, because he's a daddy. It's okay, ladies, he'll be your daddy. Alright, what do you think about the way games are going? They seem to be moving to, like, a more, like, in-depth, adult, complicated way. They seem to be evolving to be for a broader audience than just you and your kids, or just your kids.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be so, like, family-based or family-oriented necessarily. And that could be as we become adults, we find more stuff like Apples to Apples.
And then you got the Cards Against Humanity, which is the adult version of Apples to Apples.
Yeah,
You got Betrayal, A House on the Hill, which is the adult version of Clue. Do you like the way it's going, or do you sometimes miss that, like, family wholesomeness that comes from playing a game like Life or Monopoly or Trivial Pursuit or something like that?
I like the adultier versions. It seems like filters are less and less necessary, especially in our group, as we get along in our age and whatnot. So, I mean, personally, I like it a little bit better, but because I was always an inappropriate child anyways, getting into trouble was...
You tell me you never miss just, like, getting together with your fam bam and playing some old school Uno or anything like that? I don't know, I feel like those old games, while I play them now and they're, like, boring, they still got a little bit of a special place in my heart.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing better than throwing a draw 2 on, like, your brother after he just, like, punched you in the face, like, an hour later. There's nothing better on your parents making you do chores, and you're like, well, do the chores? Go ahead and step on my boardwalk, like, I dare you.
I got hotels on this bitch.
We will see who is doing the chores after you step on this space right now. I mean, you've been playing board games for a while. What do you miss those little games? Do you miss playing, like, Risk and Sorry?
To an extent. I mean, like, it's just mentioning Sorry. That's, like, the funnest thing. You just, like, look over at your sibling, sorry, back to jail, bitch.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
No, I mean, they were cool in their time. I do get bored with them now because everything's a little bit more strategic and a little bit more of your imagination involved with it, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, I mean, if I was a kid, I didn't really think about that. I was just like, I'm going to win.
I'm going to win, exactly. Let me ask a question. You got a daughter. Would you let your daughter play the adult games that we all play together, like Betrayal, A House on the Hill, where you're killing all your friends and there's evil alliances and people are getting their heads cut off and stuff? Would you let a kid, or your kid specifically, play those type of games?
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty well gripped with her life and life as it is, so... and she's smart, so she could get through it. She'd probably kick my ass at Betrayal, to be honest. She can read better than I can.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than getting your ass beat by, like, someone in your family that's way younger than you.
Hashtag did not have sex in middle school.
True story. Okay, but is there a point with adult games where it gets too complicated? Where it's like, well, you gotta have this guidebook, and you gotta have these 7 dice, and then you gotta have these other 2 dice, and then you have to have a special green magic marker that can only write on this special board, and JK, you have to also dress up while you're playing the board game and shit. Is it too far? Is it too complicated? Is it too much?
I feel like, personally, like, I mean, like with any generational gap or whatever, the generations preceding us have more put on their plate from the start anyways. I mean, if you look at it, us figuring out TVs back in the day, even before remotes necessarily, like for some of us, like having to go up and change the dials.
The clicker, dude.
Yeah, like we figured that shit out pretty quick, and kids nowadays, God, you got 4-year-olds, 2-year-olds even. I mean, look at our buddies' kids.
They're working iPads.
Yeah, they're playing on tablets and stuff. They're figuring out video games. They're playing, Power Rangers and Pokemon.
Before they can even speak.
Yeah. They're like half-assing words together and saying funny shit, and they're over there kicking ass on video games and whatnot. And it's like, damn, dude, like, that's pretty impressive. Like, they're learning curves a lot.
So you don't think it's getting too complicated? You think it's at the right level?
Personally, yeah, I think it's advancing as it should. I mean, as anything would, I mean, pretty soon we're going to have coders that are like 8, 9, 10 years old that are, kicking asses of like.
Yeah, but don't you ever miss like the simplicity of it sometimes, where it's just like, oh, everything I need is in this one box, and then you open it up and you undo the little map, and then all the
Yeah,
pieces.
it's a dice and board game.
It's a dice and board game. Sometimes it's like, oh, you gotta get all the characters out. Everybody's got to set up their character stats and shit like that. And it's like an hour before you can actually play the game.
And then it takes an hour or two to play the game.
Yeah,
Or
to
more.
teach the game. Yeah, where it's a situation. It's like almost as bad as having to download DLC.
But at the same time, I mean, as we get older and stuff, we're also drinking. So
time keeps on slipping into the future.
Fun. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like my relevancy of time nowadays, whereas I probably wouldn't have the patience for that as a kid necessarily. My relevancy of time nowadays is like, weeks on end can pass, and I have trouble keeping up with the year, writing down the year. Like, the year changes and stuff, and oh shit, it's 2018. I'm still signing 2016.
It is like a
stuff.
2 to 3 month gap before you like get that shit straight.
Dude,
Thank God you don't have to write checks anymore
Oh,
on a regular basis.
God, dude, I'm brain dead as hell when it comes to that shit. So it's like, dude, I can literally just time gap months on end. People are like, oh, what have you been up to lately? And I'm like, I don't even fucking know, dude. I haven't remembered the last like 3 years of my life. Like, it's all a blur.
It's all a blur. Shit. All right, where do you want to see like board games go in the future? What is it? The advancements do you want to see? I'd like to see, which they're already working on, bringing like augmented reality into games, which they're working on, but it's not like a super massive thing right now. It's not available to the mass public right now, but I'd love to see, I played the classic like chess situation game from Star Wars where they're like coming and fighting each other on the actual board and shit, and I'd like to see more stuff like that, more stuff where it feels like the stakes are more real, where you can see the characters and you're like, John, no!
Harry Potter style chess.
Yeah, exactly,
I feel ya.
You have to actually get on the thing and then you get slashed and then you're like, oh, that sucked, but this is a fun game. Next week, guys.
Right?
High fives.
I feel like eventually it's going to get to like an Ender's Game type situation or whatever.
Oh,
where you're just standing in a room and you're just like, move ships A, B, and C to Sector 5 and then
Yeah.
ships, D, E, and F to like Sector 3 and
Genius level kids doing advanced war algorithms and tactical
On the
training
fly.
and studying on the fly. Yeah, dude. Like,
yeah, but when that stuff happens, I'm sure we're going to be at an age where it's just like, you damn kids with your augmented reality games.
Get off
and-
my VR.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because our parents look at the
I
board
need to
games.
jerk off.
Our parents look at the board games that we play, like Betrayal and stuff like that, and they're like, can we play? And you're like, hold on, we gotta put together all the tiles for the room, and we gotta do all this stuff, and they think it's way too complicated. Or you think you're gonna be able to make the change to that type of stuff as easily as you made the change from the board games that were out in Re-Kids to the board games that are out now?
I feel like, yeah, it'll be a smooth transition. I feel like they've done good so far with what they're going for, and, realistically, I'm stoked as hell for a VR style Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, I mean, I grew
that'd
up
be
on that
sweet,
shit, so I keep
That would be the game
seeing
of the
little
century.
glimpses and snippets of that kind of shit happening on people's phones and stuff, and I'm like, dude, you about to throw down with some Yu-Gi-Oh? As long as you can like scan in your old cards, so like people can't like fucking cheat and stuff. Like, I don't want to go back through taking the risk of drawing like shitty cards for a decade.
Dude, you'll
before I
never
get
draw
into
shitty
shit.
cards if you trust in the heart of the cards.
Dude, true. Well, I
Remember
trusted
that.
in the heart of the cards, and I got like $1 million worth of Yu-Gi-Oh cards still to this day because of that. Same thing with Pokemon, straight up. Like, way too many of those things.
Way too many Yu-Gi-Oh
I'm
cards,
super
dude.
not bad.
I'm sure I think I still have some Gundam Wing cards hanging out somewhere, and then I also have some Dragon Ball Z
I
cards
was
hanging
just
out
about to
somewhere.
say,
Dragon
yeah.
Ball Z cards. I don't even think there's like a Dragon Ball Z card game. I think it's just that's all like scenes from the Dragon Ball Z
Yeah,
show,
did
right?
anybody actually play Dragon Ball Z?
Did
card
anybody actually
games?
like play Pokemon the right way?
Yeah, a couple
Did-
times.
I was
Yeah,
about to
growing
say Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, a few times, but I mean, most of the time it was just like trading and stuff.
up. Conning.
Yeah, yeah.
Here, I
true.
have this Pikachu card. Will you give me your foiled Mewtwo?
You're
no, but I
younger
have
than
5 of these Pikachus. Will you give me your Mewtwo?
True, true. Or you had those fake like Japanese print ones or whatever that weren't even real Japanese print ones.
Oh, God.
You trade those sons of bitches off.
Well, do you
like they
think
were real
think
cards.
card games belong in the same realm as like board games? Do you think Uno belongs in the same realm as Monopoly, and Yu-Gi-Oh belongs in the same realm as Betrayal, and Magic belongs in the same realm as Dungeons and Dragons?
You got mat to board, so technically, those card games are more like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff are more like a mat game. But at the same time, you have your board layout to where you have defense, position, availability slots, and you have graveyards and stuff like that. So I feel like it's close enough to where you can call it the same. I mean, that's probably old man think of today, but I'm getting old, so what can you do, right?
I'm sure the kids nowadays are like, you don't even know. It's not the same. It's not the same, Dad. You're so lame.
You're so old. Why are you so old, Dad?
What about you, Tias? Do you think they belong in the same realm? Do you think the same person you throw down on Yu-Gi-Oh should have the same respect when it comes to a game of Betrayal?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're kind of in the same realm. It's like when you read a comic book, a novel, anything like that, you're still reading a storyline, and then verse that to a movie setup, it's still the same contrast,
It's still just a fictional story that you can delve your mind into.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
one of them has a physical board, the other may not. Like D&D, for example, most of it's not a physical board, but it's still got that same you got a dice you throw. You still got that same board game feel to it.
True story. True story. All right. Well, I think this has been a pretty good episode. We're at the point in our episode where we're gonna do the head-to-head episode. I have not played lots of Clue, so I'm gonna take Betrayal in this episode. And today, instead of doing a head-to-head battle where two players fight to the death, we're just going to compare these two board games in a head-to-head battle and determine which one is better. These two fine gentlemen on the other side of the table and me are going to take Clue, and we're going to discuss who's going to be the winner of this match as far as what's a game we would find ourselves playing more often. Guys, so Betrayal, here's the way it works. You got a bunch of characters. Each character's got a stat like speed or strength or mental abilities, geniuses, things like that. There's a buff guy. There's a little girl, which is always creepy. And you have to move around this house, and then eventually a scenario comes upon itself where, depending on the room and the dice and the amount of cards that are on the table, you'll either find yourself fighting a werewolf, a vampire, a demon ghost, your friend, your enemy, whatever you want to call them. Overall, just an exciting game, but it does have a lot of extra work that has to go into it. There's a little bit of build-up before things really take off, but overall, I always have fun playing for it. What do you guys bring to the table for Clue?
I mean, they seem to be pretty similar games in that aspect, where you're going around discovering certain things and trying to gather information and capabilities of doing things. So, I feel like Betrayal is a more advanced version of Clue, whereas Clue just holds that timeless classic feel where everybody's used to it, everybody's enjoyed it. It's a little bit more familiar for most people. So on a general basis, I feel like it would be more open to the mass crowds.
I mean, I've only played Clue probably, I think, once, and I got the fucking floor wiped with me because the kid I played it with owned it and played it every night with his family. And so I didn't know that you had to check off all the boxes and shit, so I got raped. And he was like, it's Colonel Mustard in the library with the knife, obviously. And I was like, I don't think we should be friends anymore. So Clue does not have a special place in my heart, but Betrayal has a special place in my heart. I've had a lot of good times. You've been playing it with both of you guys. I've played it with my wife, too many beers. And I've played it with my mom, and everybody I know has eventually enjoyed it, even though it's kind of a slow start. I would say that Betrayal is probably the one I would play more often and find myself picking for the win. But, it's a 2 out of 3 vote, so let me hear what you guys have to say. What's the winner here?
I'm going to have to stick with Clue. It's the timeless, man.
I was about to say, I feel personally because I personally actually like Betrayal more, but at the same time, for general masses and stuff, I feel like Clue is just a more well-known, easier to get into type game. So I'd still have to say Clue 2, probably.
Okay, I can deal with that. I still, every once in a while, stroll the aisles to see if I can find a Colonel Mustard brand mustard. So what are you going to do? All right, guys, that decides that apparently Clue is the better board game overall, but Feel free to play all of them in your spare time. Definitely check out Betrayal, check out Avalon, support your local board game shops. I'm sure they're popping up everywhere nowadays. And in the meantime, also check us out. You can find us on Facebook at NerdsRS. That's NRDSRUS. You can find us on our website at nerdsrs.com. Same spelling. Ike, tell them what else we're on.
So we're on Instagram and Patreon as well. Feel free to come support us on Patreon. We're trying to branch out more, do more fun things, get out and about, support more local fun events, and check out new topics to talk about. So.
Also check us out on our Instagram, which is run by Ike Siemens. It's now also going to be run by Mr. T. Haas.
Yeah, buddy.
He's killing it with the pics. Maybe some dick pics, I don't know. Probably not, but
It
we'll
looks
see.
like Java, alright?
It looks like Java. I've seen it. It does look like Java, guys. Also, feel free to check us out on Twitter at NerdsRS1, throwing out new tweets every single day, so also check that out. And in the meantime, have a great week. You stay classy. Thanks so much for listening.